It was a quiet night at Earth's deep space listening station. The stars above were cold and silent. The station sat high in the mountains, far away from cities. Only a few people worked there. One of them was a man named Dr. Alan Reeves. Alan had spent his life listening to space. He had searched for alien signals for 20 years and found nothing. People called him a dreamer. Some called him crazy. But Alan believed the truth was out there. That night, something strange happened. His computer beeped. Just once. Alan looked up. The signal was weak, almost nothing. But it had a pattern. Not a natural wave. Not a star or a planet. It was a voice. Alan leaned closer. The signal was full of static, broken and fading. But there were words. Alien words. And inside them, one word repeated in English. Help. 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 His hands shook. He recorded everything and played it again. The voice sounded scared, hurt, desperate. Then came a chilling sentence. Do not come. They are here. Alan froze. He called his assistant Jenna. Together they listened. Her eyes widened. This is real, she whispered. Someone's out there. The signal kept coming for another 10 minutes. Then it stopped. The next day, Alan took the recording to the government. He expected them to be shocked, excited, or scared, but they were silent. A man in a black suit took the file. He said only one thing. Forget you ever heard this. Alan tried to protest, but the man smiled coldly. You don't want to be part of this, he said. Go back to your stars. Alan left, confused and angry, but he had made copies of the signal. Far away, in a secret base under the ocean, others had heard the signal too. This base did not belong to any one country. It belonged to a group called the Hidden Directive. They were Earth's last line of defense, and they had been waiting for something like this. In a dark room filled with glowing screens, a woman in uniform listened to the signal. Her name was Commander Mira Stone. Where did it come from? She asked. A soldier replied. Sector 7X, near the edge of the Targan Nebula, Mira nodded. Send a probe, quietly. No one must know. The probe launched 3 days later. It was small, fast, and unmarked. It traveled faster than light, heading to the source of the alien message. It took 1 week to reach the edge of the nebula. What it found shocked everyone. A planet was there, but it was dying. Black smoke covered it. Fires burned across its surface. Strange wreckage floated in space. Ships, stations, and bodies, all destroyed. The probe flew lower. In a dark canyon, it found movement. A single alien stood there, injured and alone. The alien looked up. Its skin was pale blue, its eyes glowing, with fear. It spoke again. This is Kale of the Doran people. Please, help us. They're coming. Before the probe could respond, something massive moved behind the alien. A shadow, tall, wide, and alive. The last image the probe sent was a giant claw reaching for the sky. Then, silence. Back on Earth, alarms rang in the secret base. The signal had ended. The probe was gone. Mira stared at the screen, her face hard. We are not alone, she said, and something out there is killing entire worlds. Her second-in-command spoke quietly. What do we do now? Mira turned to him. We prepare. Far above Earth, hidden in orbit, an old ship powered on. Lights flickered, engines hummed. A name appeared on its side. Project Hellborn inside. Cryopods began to open. Shadows moved in the dark. Not ordinary soldiers. These were Earth's secret weapons, and soon they would answer the call. The images from the probe were still playing. On the big screen, Commander Mira Stone stood quietly in the dark control room. Around her, the team was frozen in shock. No one spoke. No one moved. The last few seconds of the probe's footage played again. Over and over, a blue-skinned alien, scared, weak, bleeding, a giant shadow, moving fast, massive and alive. And then, darkness. The probe was destroyed. "We lost connection at 0642 hours, said Lieutenant Rail. "No signal, no location, nothing." Mira's voice was calm, but cold. "Send the footage to all global leaders. Use level red clearance." Rail looked at her. "Level red? That's for extinction threats." Mira nodded. "Exactly." Meanwhile, the message from the alien, the one called Kale, was played again in slow motion. "This is Kale, of the Doran people. Please help us. They're coming. They are many, they have no mercy, and they destroy everything. Do not send help. If you come, you die too." The world was not ready. At the United Earth Defense Summit, leaders from across the planet sat around a glowing table. They had seen the footage. They had heard the message. Most were silent. Some looked afraid. Others were angry. "This could be a trick," one leader said. "Maybe it's fake." Another answered. "Then explain the shadow, the wreckage, the fear." A third stood up. "We must act before they find Earth. We must stop them first." But how? Earth had never fought aliens before. Not like this. Back, in the hidden ocean base, Commander Mira opened a steel door. Inside was a room filled with dust, darkness, and silence. At the center stood a control panel. She placed her hand on it. Authorization, Commander Mira Stone. Code Black, Hellborn Protocol. The lights turned red. The floor shook. Metal pods rose from the ground, 20 in total. Each one held a human inside, frozen in cryo-sleep. These were not normal people. They were Death Worlders, humans born and raised in the most dangerous places on Earth. War zones, toxic wastelands, deep jungle hells, frozen deathlands. Each one was trained for war. Each one had killed before. And each one had nothing left to lose. At the far end of the room, a large pod hissed open. Steam poured out. A man stepped forward, tall, scarred and deadly. His name was Reaper. No last name, no history, just Reaper. He had once led the deadliest unit on Earth. Then he disappeared. Now, he was awake again. Mira looked at him. "We need you." Reaper didn't blink. "When do we leave?" The plan was simple. A secret ship would take Reaper and his team to the last known location of the alien signal, near the Targon Nebula. There, mission: find out what attacked the Doran people and, if needed, stop it before it reached Earth. No backup, no return guarantee. As the ship prepared to launch, Mira gave her final orders. "Do not trust anything you see out there. This enemy destroyed a planet. If they reach us, we're finished." Reaper simply nodded. His voice was low. "Then we'll end them before they get the chance." 1 day later, the ship left Earth's orbit, silent and unseen. Inside, the warriors of Project Hellborn checked their weapons. They said nothing. They didn't need to. Each of them knew the mission could be their last. Reaper stood by the window, watching the stars pass. "They sent a signal for help," he said. "We heard." One soldier asked, "Was it a trap?" Reaper shook his head. "No, it was a warning." But far away, deep in space, something had already noticed Earth's response. A massive black ship, shaped like a blade, floated near the Targon Nebula. Inside, alien eyes watched Earth's signal. The creature hissed softly. "The humans come." "Let them." In the darkness behind it, thousands of glowing eyes opened. The hunt had begun. The ship moved fast, faster than anything Earth had ever built before. It flew like a ghost through the stars, silent and deadly. Inside, 20 of Earth's most dangerous humans prepared for war. They were the soldiers of Project Hellborn. No medals, no names, no past. Only one goal: stop the enemy before it reached Earth. Reaper stood at the front of the ship, staring at a large screen. The star map showed their location, near the edge of the Targon Nebula. Behind him, the team checked. Their weapons, no one laughed. No one joked. They had seen the probe's final footage. They knew this was not a normal mission. One of the soldiers, a woman named Ghost, whispered, "Whatever killed the Doran, it's still out there." Another, called Ironjaw, grinned. "Good. Let's kill it before it comes knocking." Reaper said nothing. He just loaded his rifle. Back on Earth, Commander Mira Stone watched the ship's signal from the control room. So far, everything was quiet. But she knew peace never lasted long. She turned to her second-in-command. "Activate the failsafe." The man looked surprised. "Already?" "Yes," Mira said. "If they don't make it back, we wipe the whole system." The failsafe was a hidden weapon, one powerful enough to destroy a star system. Earth was not going to take chances. The Hellborn ship reached the edge of the nebula. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel and saw it. A dark, lifeless world, the same planet the probe had found. Burned skies, floating wreckage. No signals. Ghost looked at the scanner. No life signs. Reaper narrowed his eyes. "Then why do I feel like we're being watched?" They landed the ship on a rocky plain near a broken alien city. The buildings were strange, tall, curved, and covered in strange marks. The team moved in pairs, guns ready. They saw signs of battle. Burned walls, bloodstains, broken machines but no bodies. Nothing moved. It was like the whole world had died in one night. Then they found the cave. Inside, it was dark and cold. And at the back, lying under broken stone, was Kyle, the same alien from the probe, still alive but barely. Reaper knelt beside him. "Kyle, we heard your signal. We came." Kyle's eyes opened slowly. "You shouldn't have." Reaper frowned. "Why?" Kyle grabbed his arm. "You don't understand. They are not a race, and they are a weapon." Reaper's voice was calm. "Who made them?" Kyle shook his head. "We don't know, but they are not hunting for food. They are testing species, testing worlds." Before he could say more, the cave shook. A deep sound echoed outside. Thoom, thoom, thoom. Something was coming. Outside, Ironjaw shouted, "We've got movement." Dozens of tall, spider-like creatures climbed over the hills. Their bodies were black and shiny. Their eyes glowed red. Their legs cut into the stone like knives. They moved fast. Ghost fired first. Engaging the enemy. The battle began. The humans fought with deadly skill. Guns, blades, fire. The creatures were strong and fast, but not prepared for Earth's fury. Each time a human fell, 3 enemies went down. Reaper fought like a storm, his blade cutting through thick armor. Kale crawled to safety, watching in shock. "These humans," he whispered, "they're monsters." After 20 minutes, the last of the creatures lay dead. The ground was covered in black blood, but the sky began to darken. Ironjaw looked up. A giant ship was blocking out the stars. Reaper stared. "That's not a Varnock ship." Ghost asked, "Then who is it?" Kyle, still shaking, answered, "Those are the ones who built the Varnock." Inside the ship, something watched the humans fight. It studied them. Then, in a voice that shook the stars, it spoke, "Earth has answered. Good. Now let us see what they truly are." The sky above the ruined world turned black. A massive alien ship hovered in silence, blocking out the stars. It was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. No engines, no heat, no lights. Just darkness in the shape of death. Reaper stood still, his weapon tight in his hands. Around him, his team watched the sky. Even Ironjaw, loud and fearless, was quiet now. Ghost whispered, "It's just watching us." Reaper didn't blink. "No, it's measuring us." Inside the alien ship, a creature stared through a tall window. It had no mouth, no eyes, but it saw everything. It was old, older than Earth itself, and it had seen many worlds burn. Behind it stood others, silent, tall, cold. They were not called a species. They were called the architects of extinction. And now, they had found something new to test. Back on the ground, Kale was barely conscious. His skin was pale, his energy fading fast. Reaper knelt beside him. "Who are they?" Kyle's voice was weak. "They are not just destroyers. They are collectors. They study fear." Ghost turned. "Why didn't your people warn us?" Kyle coughed. "We did. No one ever lives long enough to send a second message." Suddenly, a loud hum filled the air. A beam of red light shone down from the alien ship. It didn't shoot. It didn't burn. It pulled. Before anyone could react, 3 of the Hellborn soldiers were lifted into the sky, screaming, twisting, vanishing into the ship. Then the beam stopped. Ironjaw shouted, "What was that?" Reaper's voice was cold. "A test." Inside the alien ship, the 3 captured humans floated in a dark chamber. They couldn't move. Their weapons had vanished. Strange machines circled them, probing, scanning, whispering in a language no one understood. Suddenly, sharp metal arms struck. One soldier screamed. Another was sliced open without a sound. The last, a young woman named Vex, looked straight into the darkness. "You want fear?" she said. "You picked the wrong species." She bit down on a hidden capsule in her tooth. Boom! The chamber exploded. Back, on the planet, the sky flashed. A hole burst open in the enemy ship's side. Reaper smirked. "She went out fighting," Ghost whispered. "They'll be angry now." Reaper's voice turned cold. "Let them come." And they did. Hundreds of black pods rained down from the ship like a deadly storm. Each one slammed into the ground and opened. Creatures poured out, taller than humans with armor like skin and eyes that burned like fire. They didn't speak. They didn't pause. They attacked. The battlefield became chaos. Gunfire lit the darkness. Screams echoed across the hills. But the Hellborn didn't run. They were built for this. Reaper led the charge, his blade glowing red-hot. He cut through the enemy like thunder. Ironjaw roared, slamming enemies aside with a giant metal fist. Ghost moved like a shadow, striking from behind. Never seen, never heard. Kale crawled behind a rock, watching in disbelief. "These humans," he whispered. "They fight like they want to die." But then, something worse came. The ground split open. From the depths crawled a new creature, twice the size of the others, with claws like swords and a face like smoke. Even Reaper froze for a moment. "What is that?" Ironjaw asked. Kyle's voice trembled. "That's not a soldier. That's a judge." The judge roared, shaking the sky. It charged forward, unstoppable. Reaper met it head-on. The two slammed into each other with a sound like crashing mountains. Blades clashed. Sparks flew. Blood spilled. Reaper was strong, fast, but the judge was faster. It slashed him across the chest. He fell to the ground, bleeding. Ironjaw ran to help, but was knocked away. The team was losing ground. Just when all hope seemed lost, a sound echoed through the valley, a deep, sharp whistle. The enemy paused. A second ship appeared, smaller, faster. It flew above the battlefield, dropping something. A bomb? Nobody pod. It crashed into the ground and opened. Inside stood a tall figure, covered in metal armor glowing red. Commander Mira's voice rang through the comms. "Meet your new team member. Codename, Wrath." Wrath stepped out. He looked at the judge and smiled. The battlefield had gone silent for a second. Dust floated in the air. The injured groaned. Fires burned on the hills, and in the middle of the wreckage, a single figure stood tall, Wrath. His armor was dark red, covered in scars. His helmet hid his face, but his voice was sharp like a blade. "Who touched my team?" he asked calmly. No one answered, not even the enemy. But the judge, the massive alien creature, stepped forward again, claws ready, eyes glowing. Wrath looked at it. Then, without warning, he charged. The ground shook under Wrath's steps. He slammed into the judge with full force. The sound of the impact echoed for miles. His fists glowed with burning energy. The judge slashed, fast, deadly. But Wrath was faster. He ducked, grabbed its arm, and ripped it off. Ghost's eyes widened. He tore its arm off like paper. Ironjaw grinned. I like this guy already. Reaper, still wounded, pulled himself to his feet. Blood dripped from his armor, but his eyes stayed sharp. He watched Wrath fight, his punches breaking bones, his kicks shaking the ground. Every move was perfect. Every strike was deadly. Ghost asked, "Where did Commander Mira find him?" Reaper whispered, "She didn't find him. She unlocked him." Back on Earth, deep under the ocean base, Mira watched everything through the satellite feed. An old man stood beside her. He wore a white lab coat and a tired face. "You activated Wrath," he said. Mira nodded. "I had to." The man frowned. "He wasn't made for rescue." "No," Mira said softly. "He was made for revenge." Wrath finished the fight with one final blow. He jumped high into the air, then came crashing down on the judge, smashing its head into the ground. The creature screamed once, then went still. Dead, the rest of the enemy forces began to retreat. Ghost whispered, "They're afraid of him." Wrath stood over the judge's body. "Good." But Kale, the alien, looked afraid for a different reason. He stared at Wrath, then looked at Reaper. "Your people? You created him?" Reaper nodded. "He's human, just enhanced." Kale shook, his head slowly. "You don't understand. That thing you call Wrath, the architects will see him as a threat." Reaper stared at the black ship above them. "Let them." Inside the enemy ship, the architects were no longer quiet. One of them spoke in a deep, clicking voice. "The humans have broken the pattern. This unit, Wrath, is beyond our estimates. He is not afraid. He is not weak. He is a challenge." They turned to each other. "Begin phase 2. Suddenly, the black ship began to change. Its sides opened up. Giant metal towers rose, lights lit up all around its surface. Then, hundreds of new pods launched from its belly, each one bigger, each one deadlier. Reaper looked up and cursed under his breath. "They're sending in the elite." Ironjaw loaded his biggest weapon. "Finally." Ghost tightened her gloves. "Then, let's show them how Earth says hello." Wrath turned to the team. "You fight well." Reaper nodded. "We've lost people, we're tired, but we're not done." Wrath's voice was low. "Then we push harder." The team gathered together. The Deathworlders were bruised, bleeding, but standing strong. The enemy thought humans were weak. They thought fear would break them, but fear only made them angrier. The new enemy pods crashed into the ground like meteors. And what stepped out was different, taller, smarter, stronger. They moved in perfect formation. Each one carried weapons the size of tanks. But the humans didn't back down. They ran straight toward them, and the second war began. Bullets flew. Blades clashed. Explosions shook the sky. Wrath fought like a storm, never stopping, never slowing. Reaper fought beside him, blade in one hand, pistol in the other. Ghost vanished and reappeared, cutting down enemies like shadows. Ironjaw charged through enemy lines, laughing the whole time. Even Kale picked up a fallen rifle. "This is not just a rescue," he shouted. "This is war." Far above, the architects watched with growing concern. The humans adapt. They survive what should kill them. They enjoy it. One architect leaned closer to the screen. "We may have made a mistake." Far above the battlefield, the architects watched in silence. Their test had failed. The humans had not broken. They had fought back. Worse, they had won. One of the architects turned to the others. "They are dangerous. If they are not, stop now. They will become the greatest threat in the galaxy." Another spoke. "Then we will strike at the heart. We will burn Earth." Back on the battlefield, the sky began to twist. The black ship turned slowly, its engines glowing. Dark blue Ghost looked up. "It's leaving?" Reaper narrowed his eyes. "No, it's not running." Kale's face went pale. "It's sending a message." A bright beam of light shot out from the ship, straight into the stars. Not to attack, to report. Ironjaw cursed. They're calling for backup. Wrath didn't move. No, they're calling for the main fleet. Deep in space, hundreds of light years away, a signal reached a hidden planet, cold and full of machines. A massive fleet of ships, bigger than cities, powered on. Engines roared, weapons lit up, and they all turned toward one single blue planet, Earth. At Earth's secret command center, alarms blared. Commander Mira stood frozen, watching the incoming signal. Dozens of red dots appeared on the screen. They were coming fast. Her voice was steady, but sharp. Get me the Global Defense Council. Wake every leader. Prepare the surface. Evacuate the cities, one officer asked. What's coming? She stared at the screen. Extinction. In orbit around Earth, the defense grid came online. Thousands of satellite cannons, nuclear platforms, and stealth drones powered up. But Mira knew it wouldn't be enough. She opened a hidden console, typed a code, and whispered one word. Project. Black Shield. Back on the ruined planet, Reaper's team received the message. Wrath listened quietly, then looked at the team. They're not coming for us anymore, he said. They're coming for our home. Reaper nodded. Then we go. Back. Kale coughed. If you go now, you'll be walking into death. Reaper replied. Then we'll punch death in the face. The Hellborn team rushed to their ship. Wrath stayed back a moment, looking at the stars. Ghost turned. You coming? He didn't answer right away. Then, in a calm voice, he said, If Earth falls, they win. And I don't lose. The ship blasted off, heading straight for Earth at full speed. The enemy fleet would reach the planet in less than 6 hours. The race had begun. On Earth, panic spread, cities emptied, skies darkened. Families ran to bunkers, but not everyone hid. Thousands of soldiers, pilots, and engineers stood ready. Old veterans came out of retirement. Young fighters took up arms for the first time. Earth wasn't just preparing for war. Earth was preparing for survival. In space, the first wave of alien ships appeared, long, black, silent, like shadows with teeth. The defense grid fired first. Lasers and missiles lit up the darkness. The enemy fired back. Explosions filled the sky. The war had come home. Reaper's ship dropped out of faster-than-light just outside Earth's orbit. He looked out the window. The battle had already begun. Smoke and fire covered parts of the planet. Wrath stared at the chaos. Let's give them hell. Their ship cut through enemy lines, dodging blasts, shooting down fighters. They landed near a military base outside New York. Commander Mira met them in person. She didn't smile. Glad you made it. Reaper handed her a small drive. This has everything we learned. Enemy data, weak points, how they think. Mira took it. You've done enough. Reaper looked at the burning sky. We're not done yet. Kale stepped forward. The soldiers stared at him, an alien in their base. But Mira didn't flinch. You're the one who sent the signal? Kyle nodded. And I'll help fight. My world is gone. I won't let yours fall. She stared at him for a long second, then said, Welcome to Earth. Across the galaxy, the architects watched the battle begin. One of them asked, What if we fail? Another replied, cold and calm. Then we will do what we always do. We will destroy everything and begin again. But this time, something had changed. This time they were not facing prey. They were facing Deathworlders, and Earth had just begun to fight. The Earth burned in silence. Above the blue planet, thousands of alien warships covered the sky, black, sharp, and cold, like knives in space. They came to end everything. But Earth was ready. The last line of defense stood tall. They were not the biggest. They were not the most advanced, but they were human, and they were angry. In New York, fires lit up the horizon. The sky flashed red as enemy beams tore through buildings, but the people didn't run anymore. They fought. Tanks rolled through the streets. Drones flew overhead. Old war veterans took command. Civilians passed ammo and food. This was not just a war. This was resistance. Inside Earth Command, Commander Mira stood in the war room. She looked at the hologram table. Red dots, enemy forces, were moving fast. One general asked, "What do we do now?" Mira pointed to the center of the map. "They want the planet? Then we make them fight for every inch." She slammed her hand on the table. "Activate Black Shield protocols." Far below the Earth's crust, giant bunkers opened. Out came secret machines, mechs the size of buildings, laser cannons buried in mountains, and stealth fighters that could vanish mid-air. Project Black Shield had been hidden for decades. Now, it was awake. At the front lines, Reaper and his team stood side by side. Wrath checked his weapons. "They'll send their elites now." Reaper nodded. "Let them." Ironjaw growled. "I'm just getting warmed up," Ghost whispered. "They won't stop until one side is gone." Reaper smiled grimly. "Then we make sure it's not us." Kyle stood near a human soldier holding a rifle. He looked around at humans fighting, bleeding, dying, but still standing. He whispered to himself, "No wonder the architects fear them." Above, the second wave of alien pods fell from orbit. These weren't the weak ones, these were the annihilators. 10 feet tall. Claws like blades. Armor that laughed at bullets. But Earth's defenders didn't back down. The first annihilator landed in Times Square. Before it could raise its weapon, a missile hit its chest. Launched by a teenage girl in a rooftop launcher, it exploded into pieces. Wrath led the charge in the east. His fists glowed white-hot. He moved like a storm, breaking annihilators apart with every strike. Ironjaw fired twin cannons from his back, shouting with joy. Ghost vanished into shadows, reappearing behind enemy lines, slitting throats and planting bombs. Reaper led the Yao. Middle line, sword in one hand, rifle in the other. They were losing soldiers, but they weren't losing ground. In orbit, the architects grew impatient. They do not fear. They do not break. They are resisting extinction. One architect slammed a long finger against a screen. "Then we remove the planet." They activated the final protocol. A massive cannon unfolded beneath the mothership, big enough to crack a planet in half. Back on Earth, Mira saw it. Her eyes went wide. "They're going to fire a planetary breaker." She turned to the comms officer. "Omega beacon ready?" "Yes, ma'am." She paused, then gave the order. "Send it." High in orbit, a signal fired from Earth. It wasn't a weapon. It was a call, a final cry, a scream across the stars. To all hidden fleets, to all Black Ops units, to every weapon Earth swore never to use, now is the time. Moments later, hidden ships uncloaked across the solar system. Massive railguns, fired from Saturn's rings. Ice-covered bases on Pluto launched torpedoes. From the dark side of the moon, Earth's true fleet rose. Dozens of warships that had never been seen before. They joined the fight, and the tide began to turn. Reaper looked up as Earth's secret fleet lit up the sky. He smiled. "Took you long enough." The architect's main cannon began to charge. A red glow formed at its center. If it fired, Earth would be gone. Wrath stared at it from the battlefield, then turned to Mira on the comm. "I'm going up there." Mira's voice was sharp. "That's a suicide mission." Wrath replied, "I'm already dead inside." Then he launched himself into the sky, using a hidden jetpack, straight toward the enemy cannon. Wrath flew through the burning sky. Above him, the architect's giant cannon continued to charge, red energy glowing brighter with every second. If it fired, Earth would be destroyed. Everyone on the planet. Gone. He didn't care about the pain. He didn't care about the risk. He had only one mission. Stop that cannon. Down below, Commander Mira watched the cannon rise. "He's going alone," one officer said. "No," Mira whispered, her voice tight. "He's going first." She turned to the screen. "All units, focus fire, give Wrath a path." Across the world, Earth's forces heard the command, and they responded. Fighter jets cut through the sky, shooting at alien turrets. Railguns from Bay, Earth's secret moon base hammered the enemy shields. Missiles flew from ships hidden under the sea. They all aimed for one thing, the mothership, and Wrath used the chaos to slip through. Inside the enemy ship, alarms blared. Architects moved quickly. Human unit approaching. He is ignoring our warnings. He intends to destroy the core. One of them leaned forward. Then let him try. Wrath landed on the outer hull of the massive cannon. Heat scorched the metal. He ran straight, toward the core. Alien drones swarmed him, firing energy blasts. He dodged, rolled, punched, kicked. His armor cracked, his left arm burned, but he kept moving. He had one shot, one chance. Inside the Earth Command Center, Kale watched the screen. He won't make it, he whispered. That path is suicide. Reaper shook his head. Then it's a good thing he's not afraid of death. Wrath reached the energy core. It was pulsing, huge, glowing, alive. He pulled out a small device from his belt, a fusion overload bomb. He placed it on the core and armed it. The timer began, 60 seconds. Then, a figure appeared behind him. It was the Architect Commander, taller than the rest, armored in black and silver. You will not succeed, it said. Wrath turned slowly. I already did. The two clashed. Blow after blow shook the metal beneath them. The Architect swung a glowing blade. Wrath blocked it with his arm, metal screeching, sparks flying. Then he grabbed the Architect and pulled him into a brutal punch, again. And again, until the Architect fell, broken and silent. Wrath turned to the bomb. Seconds. He looked at the planet below, at the home he once left behind, at the people who now stood together, fighting for every inch of dirt and sky. Then he smiled, and whispered, "This is for Earth." The screen went white. A massive explosion tore through the cannon. The mothership cracked open from the inside, and then it exploded. On Earth, silence. The sky cleared. Enemy ships lost control and crashed. The Architect fleet began to retreat. The invasion was over. Reaper stood on the battlefield covered in dust and blood. He looked up. There was no sign of Wrath. Ghost stood beside him. He did it, Ironjaw raised his fist. He saved the planet. Reaper nodded slowly. He was more than a weapon. He was our Wrath, given form. In the command center, Mira watched the signal fade. She closed her eyes and saluted. Goodbye, soldier. Across Earth, people stepped out of shelters. Children looked at the sky. Fathers held their families. Mothers wept in relief. The planet had been scarred, but it had survived, because humanity did not bow, it did not break, and it did not surrender. Later, a statue was built in the center of New York City, a giant figure in armor standing tall, staring at the stars. The plaque read, "To the one who gave everything, to the soldier who held the line, to the fury that saved us all." Wrath. And somewhere, in the deep black of space, a small escape pod floated quietly. Inside, a man opened his eyes. His armor broken, his body torn, but he was alive. He looked out at the stars and smiled. "I'm not done yet."